We're off to a 6 start. I already dropped one of these little black things on the floor and lost it. We'll be okay, but there's supposed to be 2 of those. Also, the pins that they give you are too long by 2 posts, so I just took scissors and chopped those things off. We are playing on hard mode. I am using the worst soldering iron in the world. It's got 2 prongs instead of 1, and they're both terrible, so there's a little bit of struggling here. But I melted a spot onto that first hole and then remelted it to push that set of pins up and hold it in place. There's a little too much there, so I'm picking it away. And then I'm starting on the other side, because if you start too close to the one that's holding it in, you'll melt that one and it'll fall out. So I got too much there as well, so I'm just flicking it off, trying to get those pins not to touch each other. And once it's held in on both sides, it's a lot easier to just go through and hit these guys one at a time. So they should look like little Hershey Kisses. Just enough to hold them in is plenty. There it is with the first side done. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but whatever. You can see here I'm about to make the mistake that I warned you about, where I hold it in and then try and do the one right next to it and just drop the thing, which is a big pain in the ass. So I gotta remelt it, push it back in, and then learn from my mistakes and start on the other side. Those 2 pins closest to screen right are kind of wonky. One's too long, kind of slipped, so I had to melt it again and push up with a back of a guitar pick just to get it in line. But that's the first 2 rows of these guys. I'm missing a ground pin on one too. It was too short and I just don't care. There's enough grounds. So this is the finished thing before the audio jacks go on. Very similar process. You just put the little pins through the holes. These ones I do on the other side, on the underside. And it's not quite perfectly sitting on there, which is okay. I just hold it in, and then once it's held, I can kind of fix it a little bit. So one of these is lost, missing. I don't need stereo audio for this, so it's fine, but it would be the same process for the other side. And then you can just clip him into the breadboard. So now that it's put together, we need some sounds. I just went to a little voice generator thing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And then I just clip them, cut them, whatever, get them ready to export.
7.
Flawless. Perfect. So I bounce all those to waves.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And then I'm reading through the docs, and this thing's awesome. It takes no code. It uses the file names. So as long as you name your files T01, T02, etc., it will automatically associate those with that number of pin on the board. You don't have to write any code at all. So awesome. So I'm renaming all these files, and then I'll plug in the board and put them on the actual device. So when I plugged this thing in, it turns out it comes with a demo sound. It shows up on the computer just like a flash drive or something like that.
Left, right.
That's the demo sound. Remember that. It is going to haunt us. And then I'm just dragging the files in there, waiting. It takes a million years. And once it's done, I delete the original T1 OGG that they had, because I don't want it to get mixed up with the wave. Make sure you empty the recycle bin to actually kill that file before you eject. So the way these things are made is a little annoying. The screw bottoms out before the bottom of the thing, so it was too loose for me to hold in the speaker wires alone, so I had to first wire the speaker wires to, fortunately, those 2 leftover pins from the beginning. So I get a little bit of solder on the pin, I get a little bit of solder on the wire so that you can touch them together and just melt them and they'll work. Again, not pretty, but metal's touching metal, and that's all that matters. Now that these 2 wires have the bigger ends from the pins, they're wide enough that those loose-ass holders can actually screw them down. This thing I've been calling a speaker is actually like a 50-cent piezo mic. You can use it as a speaker. It's not a good one. You'll see later. In the meantime, the USB is not strong enough to power the speakers alone, so I do need the battery pack first. I'm just adding some like more breadboard friendly wire tips to these so that I can plug them in rather than just like the stranded copper. So I'm just gonna boop those guys on, and they have ends that are friendlier for the breadboard. This is not the right tape, but I don't care. It's what was on my desk, so that's what we're going to use. So you can plug the hot into voltage, unplug the thing from the computer. The hot one goes into VIN, voltage in, and the ground goes to any of the grounds. But there's one right next to it, so I'll use that one. I'm putting the batteries in here, but because I have a 4 holder instead of a 3 holder, I'm just going to do this janky thing and connect those so that I can put in 3 batteries. To try it out, I'm going to put a pin in ground and then tap through these, and so tiny the sound that's coming out of this, but the light's going on. It is triggering these for all the sounds we have. And then the 11th pin is dead, which is good. We don't have a file for that, so it's expected to be dead. So because the speaker sucks, I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to reuse the wire, and I'm going to put a little output jack on it. Same old here. Get a little solder on both sides of the things you want to connect. And then the audio jack thing I'm trying to solder to is just the worst. So I ended up having to use a screwdriver to weigh it down, and then just put a bunch of solder in this hole and get them to connect to the thing. Tactical mini screwdriver here, legit doing work. Every time I take it out, I hate life and have to put it back in. It's weighing down the thing so it doesn't move when I try and solder on it. So now it has a proper input jack, and I'm just going to plug it into the computer and see if I can hear sounds that way. So now we can do the same test, ground to pin.
Right.
Excuse me?
Right.
That is not correct.
2, 3, 4, 5.
But it's pretty good after
6,
that.
7, 8, 9.
Come on.
10. Right.
So why is it playing the ghost of this sound that you for sure saw me delete? I looked around the terminal, totally unnecessary. Turns out all you have to do is, with the thing connected, empty the recycle bin. And then you can put everything back together.
2, 3, 1, 1,
There we
2,
go.
3, 4, 5.
That's better.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Fucking victory.